What if there was a way to automatically create a summary and outline of a Zoom meeting so that you can completely focus during the call? Today, I'll show you exactly how you can do just that while automating 99% of the process. I've built this automation using Make.com, ChatGPT, and a free form builder called Tally. So if you're interested in learning how to do just that, stick around and I'll walk you through how I built this entire process step by step. Let's get into it. All right, so first things first, let me go ahead and show you what the end result looks like, the actual report that is generated and sent out to whoever you want to send it out to, whether that's to yourself, which is the way that I do it. I send the report out to myself and also to the participants usually, or anyone else that you want to send the report to. So here is what is going to be created using the automation system and what is going to be sent via email to whoever you designate. As you can see, it's a very simple but in-depth overview of the meeting. We have the meeting summary report up here. It's just the title, so they know what this email is about. The title, which is AI generated, it identifies what the meeting was about and gives it an appropriate title. The date in which the meeting occurred, or in my case, I have it set up so that it's the date in which this is being sent. The attendees, people who attended the meeting itself. A TLDR, aka too long, didn't read, quick summary section that encapsulates the entire report in one paragraph, some key takeaways, the decisions that were made, action items, and next steps, very important. And then just some additional notes and context. So, additional information regarding the meeting. So as you can see, this is really nice. I mean, it gives you this report very quickly and you had to do very, very little work. So if you're on a sales call, for example, you can send this to the prospects immediately following the call so that they know exactly what was covered during the call, what they can expect, and what they need to do moving forward, if anything. And of course, you can use this for yourself so that you have a comprehensive overview of what was discussed in the meeting so you don't have to manually make these notes during the call. All right, now let me go ahead and show you the system itself and how it operates. We're going to go in depth explaining each and every single module, but let me just give you a brief overview of how it works. So the trigger point is, like I said in the beginning of this video, I use a free form builder for many, many things, many parts of my business. But in this case, I use a form, which is right here. We'll get into it in a second. I use the form as the input. And once that form is submitted, Make.com will download the transcript file that I provide, which is the transcript of the actual Zoom meeting, which, just a note, Zoom actually creates this transcript for you automatically. It's a really good transcript. It's pretty dependable. And it actually identifies the speakers as well, which is another reason why this summary, AI generated summary, is so powerful, because Zoom actually identifies the speakers with their names. So as you can imagine, it's pretty cool. So let me show you an example of the transcript. I have it open here somewhere. Yeah. So this is an example of a transcript. As you can see, it's quite lengthy, but it's got everybody's different names, the name of the individual, which technically, now that I think about it, only works if the individual has their name set as their username in Zoom, which most of the time people do. So it shouldn't be a problem. But if they don't, I would assume it's going to be whatever the username is or the display name is. But anyways, that's not going to worry about that. So this is what it is. It's just, it's a very in-depth transcript of the entire call with timestamps. So pretty powerful stuff. And that's included in your Zoom plan. You have to set it up in your settings, but it's no big deal. All right. So it downloads that file and then it sends that into ChatGPT to summarize that entire transcript into a report. And then it converts that report, which is in Markdown formatting, and turns it into HTML so that we can actually use it in an email. And then it does two very important things here. For whatever reason, ChatGPT, whenever it creates HTML, it adds these little tags to the beginning and end that is really annoying, and I can't seem to get rid of it just prompting ChatGPT. So I've created these two modules to remove those two parts. And then I email myself. In this case, I'm even emailing myself, but in your case, you would email yourself or whoever you want to designate a specific email going towards is one person, a specific person, and then individualize the email addresses because they're usually going to be more than one participant or more than one person you want to send this to. So it splits them into individual emails and it iterates them one by one and then sends the email report to them directly into their inbox. So that's how it works in a nutshell. Let's go ahead and dive right in and see how each of them works step by step. So the first thing is the form, of course. So it's just a webhook that I've set up with a form and Tally. I'll show you right now. Tally, guys, if you don't know about it, it's a fantastic system. It's 100% free. The only reason you would ever pay for it is if you want some, specific things like custom CSS, or I think they have another feature where you can automatically save submissions before they're, even though they're incomplete. But I don't care for it. It also has a little branding on the bottom right, but no big deal. Very, very powerful tool, 100% free. There's no limits in that sense, except for example, the file upload, you can only upload to 10 megabytes, but works perfectly fine for me. But I'm going to do an in-depth video on Tally, so I'm not going to get into it so much in this video. Cool. So the Zoom meeting summarizer is what I call this form. Very simple. I just have an email address box so that this is essentially what is going to be this right here, email host. So a designated email address that we want to specify. In this case, it's myself. So I would put my email address here, the date of the meeting, when was this meeting actually held? Who do you want to send the report to? And this, you would list out the email addresses of the individuals you want to send the report to. It can be as many as you want, really. Just separated by a comma or a line break. Doesn't really matter. The automation will identify emails and split them accordingly. And then, of course, you upload the transcript file right here and submit. And once you submit this, it will trigger the automation, which is what we're talking about here. Cool. So the way to get the actual transcript file, when you have a Zoom meeting, if you have all the settings set up accordingly, the auto transcript, the auto cloud recording, it will notify you once the transcript is complete. So once that has been completed, you would just click the link in your email and it would take you to this page, the details page of the recording, and you would just download the audio transcript. You click that, you download it, cool, and you go to your form and submit it here. So that is the only manual task that you have to do in this automation. I have not been able to figure out a way to automate that entire process just yet. I spent several hours using the Zoom API within make.com, and it just wasn't working out. So I went this alternate route, and it's still 99% of the work being done for you. So I'm not going to complain. And the pro of doing it this way, as opposed to doing it completely automated, is that if for whatever reason, for example, you don't want to actually create a report and send it to individuals, you won't, because you have to manually trigger this automation. In this case, what you're leveraging in this automation is the actual creation of the report and sending it out. The trigger is manually done. So anyways, little caveat there. All right. So that is the trigger for the automation. The next thing, like I said, is it downloads a transcript file. So whatever you uploaded into the form, it will just download it so that it can be used in make.com. The next thing, and this is where it gets really awesome, is it summarizes the report that is provided via the transcript. Excuse me, not the report, the transcript. It'll summarize the transcript and it will convert it into a summary like we saw earlier in this video. Now it outputs as markdown formatting, and I do that because that's the format that I prefer, and it does a very good job at creating headings and hierarchy in text. It makes it look nice, and then I convert it into HTML in the next module. But anyways, I'm going to make an in-depth video on how to use ChatGPT in make.com, so I'm not going to go into it so much, but briefly put, you would just need to connect your API key, which is a separate thing from your ChatGPT subscription of $20 a month or $200 a month if you're using that subscription. But anyways, it's very, very affordable using the OpenAI API. Very, very affordable. So I highly recommend using it if you're not already. So you would just connect that here, and then you would select create a completion, which is what this module is called. So let me see if I put let's put ChatGPT. It would be the create a completion. This is the module you want to be using in this scenario. Now, for whatever reason, ChatGPT is really slow in make.com. I don't know if that's just me, but I don't know. Anyways, let's give that a second to load in. All right. So obviously I've worked through this for quite some time to develop a prompt that works well, and it does work well for me. So I'll be providing this entire scenario down in the description below for free, so you can download it and then just import it into make.com and then use it as you deem fit, make your connections, whatever. That way you don't have to make these prompts yourself. So essentially what I'm doing is just, letting it know what it is, what the purpose of me prompting it is. I'm telling you that it's an intelligent assistant skilled at summarizing meetings, and then the second message is the user. This is where you actually prompt it to do what you want it to do. And so I tell it, given the transcript that's provided in the third message, generate a detailed meeting summary with clear sections and ensure the output follows this exact structure. And then I give it a structure, a layout that I want it to follow when creating the reports. Cool. And then lastly, it's another user prompt. And this is where I actually give it the data to work off the transcript, which is mapped right here. So in the download a transcript module, it takes the file that I uploaded in the form, and then I input that file into ChatGPT through the download transcript module here. So that's what's mapped right here, data, download transcript, data. Cool. Then from there, the next module is to convert the output from here into an HTML format, because HTML can be used within emails, and that way it looks nice. So it essentially just takes the summary that is created with ChatGPT and makes it look pretty by converting it into an HTML code. So same system, it's create a completion, the same module. I didn't mention it before, but I'm using ChatGPT 4.0, really good. The first message is, again, a developer. So with ChatGPT, you always want to tell it what it is, what role it's playing. And that's what the developer/system role does. So I tell it what it is, what its purpose is, and then I instruct it to do what I need it to do. And then the assistant message is really serves kind of as an example. Like, this is an example of an output that I like that I want you to base this off. That's what the assistant will kind of serve in this case. So I just have a code that ChatGPT actually produced for me while I was preparing and building out this system. I liked it, so now I use it as an example moving forward. Cool. Another thing is the max completion tokens. I wouldn't get too bent up on this, but I set it to 4096. The default is actually 2048, but I set it to 4096 just because I think it works better. But I don't think it's entirely necessary, but it is what it is. I'll get into that more in depth in another video. All right. Now, the next two modules are really specific because, like I said before, for some reason, ChatGPT adds these two little lines of text in the beginning and the end of the code that is provided in the create HTML module. So these two modules are just intended to remove those two little lines, little strings. The first one is it literally has this string right there. Apostrophe, I think those are apostrophes, apostrophe, HTML. And then at the end of the HTML, it has 3 apostrophes. Again, I don't know why it does that. So if anybody does know, you can let me know down in the comments. But essentially all this does is removes that text. So this is a text parser replace. Let me show you. Why doesn't it open up when I press? All right, text parse and replace. So what it does is it searches for a string for a specified value, and then it just replaces it with whatever you make it replace it. So in this case, I have the text that I'm trying to replace, and then I just use the empty string function, which you can find right here, empty string. So it's just, essentially nothing. I'm replacing it with nothing, but nothing is something, it's not just going to do nothing. It's going to basically delete it. And then the text that I'm referring to, obviously what it needs to know what it's going to be looking at is the output from the create HTML. So I map it right there. And then the next one is, it's the same idea, but it's targeting a different pattern, a different string, which in this case is these 3 apostrophes that is at the end of my HTML. Same thing, empty string. That's what I'm going to be replacing it with. And then my source is no longer the create HTML because that has been modified now with this one. The source becomes the output of this module, which is text. As you can see right there, it's the only option you have. Cool. The next step is to email the host, which is what was provided here. The email you put here, your email address, report will be sent to this address. That is what is going to be sent in this module. So that's what's mapped right here. Save message after sending. I don't particularly want to save this message, so I'm not doing that, but it's going to be sent to me. And then I just have a test here because I haven't changed it. I forgot to change that. You can obviously change that however you want. Zoom report, and then I can, dynamically create the date if I wanted to. I'm not going to do that right now, but you could do that if you wanted to. And then of course the content type is HTML because that's what we are working with. We created it as an HTML, and the content, so what's actually going to be sent as the email, normally would just be the output of ChatGPT, but again, we ran these 2 extra modules because we want to remove those annoying little tags. So it's the output of this module, text. So there are 2 text parsing modules. You have to make sure you select the second one. Again, I'm going to have this complete scenario available for free in the description below, so just refer to that. So you plug that in there. Cool, you're good to go. And then next we have the separation of the emails. So as in the people that you want to be sending this email to. So for example, if I'm trying to send this to all the participants of the Zoom call, let's say there were 3 of them, I would type them out here, email 1@gmail.com, email 2@gmail.com. You get the picture. You just, type out all their emails separated by a comma or line break. Doesn't make a difference. So essentially what you need to have Make understand is that these are individual emails that you want to send. I'm not trying to send a bulk email with CCs or anything. I want to send a dedicated email to each of these people. So that's what this text parsing module does. Now, I know that there's an easier way to do this, but for whatever reason, I could not get it to work. That would be with the text aggregator text aggregator tool. Where is it? Text aggregator. What this does is that you basically you prompt it with a certain parameter, and it will convert text into something in a certain way and make it so that you can use variables individually. It basically takes one bundle or one big string and then converts it into multiple arrays. Now, I know that in theory it works. I've used it in the past. I don't know why in the world I couldn't get it to work in this scenario. So I had to, figure out a workaround, and I just, talked with ChatGPT, gave me some advice and showed me how to fix it. So essentially I'm using again, another text parsing tool, but instead of it being the replace module, it's a match pattern module. And then ChatGPT gave me this crazy looking prompt or pattern. And this is just a regex, aka a regular expression. Now, I am not familiar with regular expressions. ChatGPT is. I told it what I needed and it gave me this prompt. So essentially what this is doing is that it's matching the pattern based off what an email normally looks like. So a string separated by the @ symbol, and then another string and some other string. I don't know. That's what this expression means. So it works. That's all I know. It works. I tested it out a couple times, and with a couple emails, inputted it in my form, and it worked. It separated them accordingly, identified them as individual email addresses. So that's what this module does. It individualizes the email addresses. Not sure if that's a word, but that's what I called it. The next thing is the iterator, which is just a fancy way of saying doing one thing at a time. So if I click this, you can see the individualized email addresses module. What it's producing is individual emails. And the iterator, what it does is that it goes through each of those emails one at a time. So if I have 3 emails that are found through this module, it'll send an email 3 times, but each of them is individual to that email address. So the value that you put into the email address is the output of the iterator value, which again is going to be different each time, depending on how many inputs you have, how many emails you have. It's a pretty cool system, really good. Again, I forgot to change the subject. Ignore that. Here is a report from our meeting. Cool. Then the content type again is HTML, because again, that's what we're working with. We converted the report into an HTML so we can use it as an email. And the content again is the same as before. It's what was produced here. That's the last module that modified the HTML. And that's it. So you run that sucker and it does it for you, man. Really powerful stuff. You saw the output. I already showed it to you guys. And again, I know that there's a way to automate this entire process. I just have not been able to figure it out, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the very small amount of work that is required to get this system to work. It's very powerful, and I'm sure you can see how it can be used to really optimize your system and your workflow, whether you're working with clients or you're just, managing meetings that you're doing with your team members, whatever it is. It's very powerful. And of course, in theory, you could, alter the prompts as you deem fit to, prioritize certain things. But I think that this works pretty universally for most people's use cases. But again, you can modify it if you need to. So the last thing I wanted to touch on is the Zoom API. I think I mentioned it earlier, but if I haven't, I tried for hours, and I mean hours, to make this 100% automated, because the Zoom API does have a trigger called, for example, watch meetings, which isn't really the most appropriate for what I'm doing here. It's watch recordings. This is phenomenal. And you can create a specific webhook based off a transcript being created. So for example, a transcript completed. That's what I've set up here. Transcript completed. The problem is that no matter how hard I try, for whatever reason, with this strategy of watching the transcripts, for some reason, Zoom is not able to communicate the information of the participants of the meeting. So the whole purpose one of the main purposes of this automation is to be able to produce a report and then send that report via email to the participants of that meeting, including yourself. But again, I just could not get Zoom's API to do that for me. I tried, and it would not give me the information about the participants, let alone their email addresses. So that's going to require me to do a little bit of manual input and create a form that does it for me. I just, manually put the information in the email. So if you guys have worked with the Zoom API in the past and have figured out a way to automate that process, I'm all ears. I would love that, because it would automate the entire process. I would probably, just make a 2.0 version of this, because I still may want to specify whether or not I want to automatically send the report to those people without, maybe vetting the report that ChatGPT creates. So, you would just modify the scenario, the automation accordingly. But anyways, that's how it works, guys. Again, you can download this scenario down in the description below for free. And once you do, you would just, create a new scenario inside of make.com. Click those little buttons right here, these little three buttons, excuse me, and hit import blueprint. Once you do that, you just click the file, upload it, and it will automatically populate with all of this data. And all you need to do after that is just, connect your accounts. So if you don't have a Tally account, you got to make the form, and then you got to make your account and then connect it to make.com. You have to create a API key and an API account, a developer account for OpenAI. You have to connect your email accounts. I use an SMTP, but you can do Gmail. Gmail's a little more complicated, but you can do Gmail. And then, yeah, same thing in there. So that's how it works all in all, guys. As you can see, it's a very, very powerful system. It's saving me a crap ton of time, excuse my French. And you can, modify it as you deem fit to make it better. But really powerful system, guys. So I hope this is helpful to you. If you have any questions about any of these modules or my strategy as a whole, just let me know down in the comments below and I'll do my best to help you guys. But that's going to do it for today. God bless you guys. Check out my other videos on the channel if you're interested in automation and optimizing your workflows altogether. I love this kind of stuff. And if you have any ideas for videos, let me know as well. And I'll do my best to get to them as quickly as possible. God bless you guys. Thank you for watching. See you later.